It just seems like a lot of weed. Like, is the demand just through the roof?
Yes. Demand has always been there.
So how many boats did you have at the peak? Before we ever went barging, all right, how many boats, cigarette boats, bow riders or cabin boats?
Yeah.
How many?
I had a 27-foot Magnum, 28 cigarette, 36 cigarette, a 32 Sea Ray, 68-foot trawler.
Good heavens. You had a Navy.
And then I got into the tugboats and barges.
Yeah. So, who in the Netflix series we get to know Alan and Charlie?
Yeah, I just talked to Alan this morning.
Really? How's Alan doing?
Alan is doing good. He is exceptionally good. He's like a manager at a graphic design spot that does good stuff. They do cool graphic designs for big traction trailers and they do race cars.
Okay.
They're down in near West Palm Beach.
Okay.
Take a second and tell us exactly who he is and where you met him. Because, if you haven't watched the Netflix special like we have, we don't know who Alan is.
So Alan is a co-defendant that a friend of mine since I was 14 years old. I actually have a lot of friends that were in my life all my life.
Still there today.
Still there today. That's how I roll.
Yep.
And so Alan was a childhood friend from 14, and at 15, him and I hitchhiked to Canada. My dad wanted me to cut my hair. My dad was like not a hard ass, but, he grew up in the country. All that long hair stuff.
It wasn't for him.
Dude, he won't on that time. So I'm 15. He wanted me to cut my hair. I'm a 15-year-old not wanting to cut my hair and smoke weed. So I took off to Canada. Hitchhiked at 50. Imagine doing that today.
Yeah, no way.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
You kidding me? So my brothers had told him, hey, he's going to his grandma's house first in Virginia. That's what I told my brothers to tell my dad and my mom, that I'm going to grandma's. So what I did, I showed up at grandma's. That's the first spot I went. And we stayed 3 or 4 days, and they're begging me to come home. They're going to give me a plane ticket. But no, I got my mind set.
Going to Canada.
I'm going to Canada.
And
it was the year that they had the Woodstock Festival. It was like 1969.
So Alan's been a friend for a long time.
Alan's been a friend. So Alan caught a case with me. He ended up being an offloader for me. He worked when I would bring loads in. He was one of the many people that was on a shift of offloading the bales.
And when all the things went down, Alan
stood up.
Stood up.
Yep. He was facing 15 years. And he ended up serving 1/3 of his time. He served 5 years.
Yeah.
And he's still my buddy today.
Yeah. So you see him how often?
I see him maybe once a month or two.
Yeah. How far apart are y'all distance?
He lives in Lake Worth. I live in Davie, and we're probably about an hour away from each other.
Okay. And the other fellow that we know in the documentary, or that I know, is Charlie.
Right.
So he's a banker.
Yes, he was my bookkeeper.
Yeah. And so at the end of the show, so how did y'all meet? I forget.
Charles, I met him through, he started having connections for me to sell marijuana at the community college.
Yep, and he owned the home where you could stash, right? He had.
No, he would lease homes for me.
He would lease homes.
He was real clean cut.
He was the guy that could be the front.
Yes, exactly, under different names. So he would lease stash houses for me. And
then he ended up being kind of the accountant, the bookkeeper, and he was unfortunately the way that y'all went down because, and we'll talk about that. But in the end of the show, so Charlie's the guy that was the state's witness.
He was one of the main witnesses against me.
Right.
Yes.
And so in the end of the Netflix show, you and Charlie meet again.
Yep.
Was that
we had dinner together?
That was the first time you'd seen him?
That's the first time I've seen him. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
So he was the one guy, the top guy that put you away. And you, as you said, went through some forgiveness.
It took me 18 years to come to a point to understand.
I found that so phenomenal.
Yeah. It took me
you
a while.
and him would go sit in the same room
and break bread.
Yeah.
Was that orchestrated because of the Netflix documentary, or did you want to do that on your own?
No, the Netflix director and producer, they'd been in touch with him because of that, and they asked me how I felt about talking to Charlie. I said, look, I have no problem. Look, I want everybody to do good, and I want everybody to have a happy life. I don't wish bad against no one. So I said, I'm good with him, man. So we talked. I said, yeah, I'm all about it. So let's have dinner.
So you did.
So we did.
Alan doesn't feel the same way, though.
No, Alan's still mad.
And I still talk to him about that because
You want Alan to forgive?
look, forgiveness is the cornerstone, for real, of living a life of abundance and joy. Because when we don't forgive, we're actually stymieing ourselves. Because now it's like you're hemming up yourself, because you can get burdened down with stuff that you don't even realize is happening to you, because maybe you got an attitude or you got a resentment towards somebody. So these resentments and stuff, you don't need to live with. You don't.
Right.
So you've talked to Alan about that?
Yeah, I've talked
What's
to him.
Alan say?
Yeah,
He's still
hogwash.
mad, I can tell Alan's not going to be easy.
He ain't bending right now.
No.
He doesn't seem to mince words. Like he just puts it all out there. He's not happy with Chuck, and it didn't look like he was going to turn that corner anytime
No,
soon.
he's not right now. I look, and you know what? I haven't given up on him.
I wouldn't either.
So,
I wouldn't either. Did you like that conversation with Randy Lanier? Well, the entire podcast is amazing. You need to listen to it. The Dale Jr. Download, available on all major podcast platforms.